Hi, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I am baking my way through the Great British Baking Show Love to Bake cookbook and just testing to see how challenging these recipes really are. Today, I am making some sticky toffee apple cakes. So let's get started. I have to make some date puree and some apple puree for this one because it is a vegan recipe. So the first thing I have is 180 grams of pitted dried dates in a pan, and I'm just going to pour 150 milliliters of just boiled water over them. And then I just need to bring that to a boil. So I'm going to turn that on, bring it to a boil, and then I'm gonna simmer them for about 10 minutes. But while I'm doing that, I'm also going to make my apple puree. So I do have also 3 eating apples. It says Cox, Brayburn, something like that. I have Fuji, again, because that's what my family eats. I've said in previous recipes. They are peeled, cored, and sliced, and I just need to put them in another pan. So, because it also takes 10 minutes to make these, so I'm just going to do them at the same time. So I need to add 1 tablespoon of water to these. And then I am also just going to cook these over a low heat, let those boil and simmer for about 10 minutes. Okay, my dates have been simmering for about 10 minutes, so I'm going to take them off the heat. It does say to let them cool slightly and then to blitz them. So I'm going to let those cool just a little bit. My apples are still going. I'm going to go ahead and blitz my dates so that they're into a puree. Okay, I think most of the big chunks are out of that now. So I'm just going to, there's my timer. So I'm just going to turn my apples off the heat and then let them cool slightly before I blitz them up. Okay, my apples have cooled slightly, so I'm just going to go ahead and blitz those up with my hand mixer as well here. So all of the prep work is done. Let's get into the meat and potatoes. Okay, to make the cake part, we need 80 milliliters of light olive oil. We have 100 grams of soft light brown sugar, 120 milliliters of almond milk, and 1 teaspoon of vanilla paste. All right, and I'm going to whisk these. It says to whisk them with a balloon whisk. I don't have a balloon whisk. Whatever. I'm all about working with what you got. Now I am going to add all of my date puree. Looks a little gross. Okay, and then we're adding 200 grams of the apple puree. So this recipe did say 3 eating apples. I only made 2, and I still had a little bit left over. So American apples are just apparently bigger than English apples. I always at least subtract 1 depending on how much, and it seems to work out. And then I just need to whisk for 1 minute until smooth. So basically, I guess just to get the date and apple puree all combined in there. That's about as smooth as it's going to get with purees in there. Add 180 grams of plain flour, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, and 1 teaspoon of baking powder. Gently beat together into a thick batter. Do not overmix. Okay, I'm going to stop there because I basically just made sure that the flour got all incorporated. Okay, now this recipe called for, what are they? 12 hole loose bottom mini sandwich tins. I don't know what that is. I think I have an idea what it is, but I have looked and I cannot find them anywhere. So I'm just using a muffin tin or a cupcake tin, whatever you want to call it, with some cupcake liners in it, because that's what it sounds like to me, just with a loose bottom. Like, I don't know. I don't have that. So I'm going to use these, and I'm just going to make it work. So I'm just going to divide this into my 12 cupcake holes. Okay, there they are. Am I worried they're too full? Absolutely. But it looks like cupcakes in the picture size-wise, so there they are. My oven has been preheated to 355 degrees Fahrenheit, 180 degrees Celsius, and I'm going to bake these for about 20 to 25 minutes until they're golden brown, well risen, and the skewer comes out clean. All right at 20 minutes. Look at those guys. Whew, they look good. They are golden, well risen. Stick came out clean, so they're good to go. All right, I need to make some caramel sauce now while my cakes are cooling. I was able to pop them out of the tins. They're not near cool. They are a little more delicate than a regular cupcake, so don't do the flop thing like onto the tray, but you can, get them out with a fork or whatever. Now, caramel sauce. I have 50 milliliters of coconut milk because, again, remember this is vegan. I've reserved just 1 tablespoon of it for a little bit later. The rest of it, I'm just going to pour into my pan. Brown sugar. So we have 75 grams of more light brown sugar. There's 2 teaspoons of golden syrup in this recipe, which I've used in the past. You can either use honey or syrup, like, pancake syrup, whatever, maple syrup is the word I'm looking for. I've used both in the past. Today I'm just electing to use honey. And then 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla paste. Okay, and then we're just going to cook this over low heat, stirring until the sugar dissolves. Now I've made almost this identical recipe. It was just slightly different on like the vanilla paste or whatever in the hummingbird cake episode. If you haven't seen that one, go check that out. It did not go as planned. So I'm hoping that this turns out better. We'll see. Okay, it doesn't feel as gritty, so I think my sugar is dissolved. It's kind of hard to tell. They said to cook it over low heat. I had to turn it up to medium to even get it to like do anything. Anyway, it's been like 10 minutes and I'm still stirring. So anyway, just to give you a heads up. Now, the 1 tablespoon of reserved coconut milk that I had from a minute ago, I'm going to add a teaspoon of corn flour to it, or not, yeah, a teaspoon. And I'm going to make like a paste with it, it says. So I'm just going to stir, make a paste. Well, it's starting to boil a little bit, so maybe I got a little too high. Okay, so we got my paste. It says to whisk this into the hot sauce, so I'm a whisking. While I'm with that, it says bring to the boil and then reduce the heat and simmer for about 5 minutes until the sauce thickens and reduces to a slightly thick syrup. Now, it doesn't necessarily say if I keep stirring it. That's the thing that I don't get about caramel. Do you stir or not to stir? Do I just leave it there for 5 minutes? Yeah, I don't know. Okay, that's been 5 minutes. I set the timer, so I knew I'm just going to, take it off the heat because it's been 5 minutes. I don't know if that looks more syrupy or not, but I know it'll harden up or it will get thicker as it sits and cools. So I'm not going to overdo it. The last thing we need for our little sticky toffee apple cakes is some frosting. So it is, again, vegan. So we are using a vegan spread, which is basically just like plant butter. So we've got 60 grams of this, 200 grams of icing sugar. I'm going to put those together. And then we are putting in a half of a teaspoon more of our vanilla paste. We're just going to mix this all up. If I need to add a splash of milk, almond milk, if you want to keep it vegan, to keep this creamy, we can do that. I'm going to try not to, just because I don't know if I'll need it. So I'm going to make an unholy mess right now. Okay, I did really make an unholy mess on that. I'm not going to lie. I did have to add the splashes of milk. It was not going to come together. That butter, it had been softened, the butter, but I don't know. It just needed more liquid. So there we go. We have our frosting. All right, I'm going to pipe my icing on top of my cooled little cakes. And I don't have a ton of icing here, so I'm not going to overload them. It's always nice just to have a little bit of sweet, but maybe not overdo it. Perfectly divided among the 12. Now, you are supposed to, after you pipe the swirl, put either pour or spoon over your caramel sauce. Guys, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. It turns into toffee. Look at that. I mean, I could glob some on. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just cooking it too long, I guess, but I'm following the directions every time and it does not work. There's my little cupcake, the sticky toffee apple cupcake. I'm tasting one right now. The paper comes right off, so I'm not too worried about the whatever the loose bottom sandwich tins are. It's like a little cupcake. It's not like overly sweet, so that's kind of nice. I do like the icing a lot. Last time there was another recipe that made like this exact same icing. And it was really good. I don't know if it's the vanilla paste or if it's the vegan spread, but it's good. This is kind of like a little spice cake. It's kind of what it tastes like because it's got the dates and the apples in it. Yeah, it's good. I like that. Not too sweet, which is good. Nice. I've had a lot of sweets lately. Okay. If you got this far in this video and you liked it, great. Give it a thumbs up. I am baking my way through this book, and I'm over halfway there. So this is fun. Please subscribe to my channel so you can see when my next bake comes out, and go check out some of my other bakes. They've all been a lot of fun. And anyway, I'll see you next bake.